Israel needs Lebanon to defeat Hezbollah, but the Israelis are exhausted by all of this. Officials with the IDF reported that they are unable to disarm Hezbollah as it would require a near total occupation of Lebanon. They also reported that the Lebanese government was the only government currently capable of disarmament, with Haaretz reporting that later on Friday, the IDF stated it was committed to the long-term goal of disarming Hezbollah. The goal includes a wide range of efforts that will continue over time, the IDF said, adding that the current round of fighting weakens Hezbollah and will advance the achievement of this goal over time. But how much time will the people of Israel afford their government? As Israel begins its territorial expansion into Lebanon, attempting to hedge all the way up to the Litani River, people in Israel appear to be growing weary with these shifting goalposts. On Tuesday, dozens of parents whose children serve in the Nahal Brigade's reconnaissance battalion urged Netanyahu to reconsider their son's deployment in southern Lebanon, saying it puts them at unreasonable risk. After a Passover spent darting between various shelters, many seem exhausted with the direction of the conflict. When the war began, Israelis were overwhelmingly supportive of the war effort. For the first 2 weeks of the war with Iran, polls found that over 80% of Israelis support the war, driven mainly by over 90% support among Jewish respondents in multiple polls from think tanks. About 2/3 of Israel's Arab Palestinian citizens opposed the war, according to the Israel Democracy Institute surveys, and just 1/4 supported it. But almost immediately, signs of fatigue started to show. By the second week, there were small signs of doubt, such as a slight decline in the portion of Jewish respondents who strongly supported the war, according to the IDI polling. Now, by the 4th week of the war, total support has declined from 83% at first in IDI's studies to 68% who support continuing the war. That means support is still overwhelming, but a 15-point drop in just 4 weeks is still a seismic shift. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is much less popular than the war effort itself. Just 36% give him high or moderate trust levels among all Israelis in the 4th week of the war, with no wartime boost. The rest do not trust him. Even among Jewish Israelis, 56% don't trust him. And of 4 possible responses, the largest portion, 45% of all Israelis, do not trust him at all. Brett, a lot of this takes buy-in and support from the population. They had that for the most part. With Gaza, this is a different story, and support is cratering fast. What does this look like in the next month or two?
I don't know. I'm not in the minds or perspective of people in Israel or southern Lebanon or anywhere, but I do know that generally support for wars wanes when you see the real price of it. And when the real price is like people in your family who have to execute the orders of a leader you don't trust, well, then support wanes. And I understand, like, I think probably what the situation is people in America don't fully understand what it's like to live in any of these areas, and don't have the same relationship with the zone. I mean, definitely don't have a relationship with the zone that the people there do. And so I understand that in the wake of October 7th, you're gonna have like a huge support for doing things to make sure that that never ever happens again. And the further you get from essentially that moment, and once you find yourself setting your kid to southern Lebanon to try to get Hezbollah to stop being Hezbollah, along with all of this, like it's very difficult because every kind of conflict that you have, I mean, people like to just pick a start date or pick a side and then pick a start date. But you can go back and back and back and back and back. And the more you do that, and the more you think about it, the more enraged you get. And there's lots of reasons to get enraged. And everybody should learn as much as possible and experience that frustration to try to get to a solution. But I just don't think that anyone really is looking around and saying, like, from the American perspective, us bombing and invading Iran seems like a really cool, easy way to win a war soon. And as support for it wanes, I mean, just generally, what I have observed as trying to learn as much as I can about this situation and this part of the map is like there is a thing that happens. People die. Israel then goes and kills more people than were killed in Israel. And America says, I got to hold you back, stop. And then there is some kind of thing that happens where it stops. Now there's going to be lasting things that affect the map after that. For example, like the occupation of the West Bank. For example, no longer there being Israeli forces in the Sinai Peninsula. Like the maps change, but usually I understand that. Like I understand that like if you're Israel, you're beset on all sides by enemies. If you're the people Israel considers enemies, like that used to be your people's land up until some imperialist shift changed the situation on the ground. And something I don't think American observers, definitely for the most part, can really wrap their mind around is like finding some very tense temporary peace being a win. That's my thought. What about you, Jordan? Engage those thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we're seeing support plummet so fast is it's not just a one-sided conflict. It's definitely lopsided, but it's not one-sided in the way that Israel's genocide in Gaza was. They weren't living under constant threat of legitimate retaliatory attacks like they are now from both Iran and Lebanon. And if the reporting that we're seeing is true about some of these missile defense systems not intercepting missiles, potentially system failure in some parts of the country, that is going to be understandably unnerving for the people who are in those areas. And the damage from these retaliatory strikes is much more severe than anything we saw Hamas do outside of October 7th. So it's much harder to sell your base or sell your country and your population on a new war when within the first couple weeks, they're already starting to experience firsthand those consequences. It's easier to sell Americans on any sort of conflict because for the most part, with the exception of like Pearl Harbor, it's just not here. I guess you could count 9/11, but like without those two exceptions, those aren't waged here. So we don't have to live under constant stress or fear or worry of, having to scramble in the middle of the night to a bomb shelter or take refuge. That's something that many people throughout that region are constantly living under. I have got a buddy in Jordan right now who was saying he heard bomb sirens and didn't know where to go earlier today. So it's stressful and it's harder to sell a war when it's not one-sided.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.